and 74 cents. To hear the charges for this call, press 2. To accept this call, press 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press 9. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Good morning.
Good morning, sunshine.
At the brink of World War III. I love it.
It's insane, man. It's the Twilight Zone.
Well, I'm watching Fox News right now, and they are lying their asses off to the American people. It makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, they're bad. They've always been bad.
They're saying Assad attacked those children. I'm like, no, they didn't. That was the Free Syrian Army. We gave them the weapon to do it.
Yeah, and people are saying that if they were covered in sarin gas, that other people wouldn't be handling them without suits on or something. I forget.
Yeah, the whole thing's a facade.
Yeah.
But the first attack did happen. If you go on Google and you look up the first Syrian gas attack, you might be able to find a video. And when you look at the weapon, you're going like, oh, well, that's interesting. It looks like a U.S.-made weapon. And it can tell it's the Free Syrian Army, the people we were funding in the first place.
Nice.
And ISIS and Al-Qaeda's mixed in with that. And so then they say, well, we got to go protect the children, so we're going to bomb the hell out of them and kill more children in the process.
Nice.
I don't get it. So, well, I guess Trump showed his true colors, huh?
Yeah, there's major crazy going on.
So, but I'm watching Fox News right now. I just want to kick something. And I'm like, I got to call and complain to somebody because I don't have anybody else to complain to. The people are too dumb in jail to figure this out.
Well, we got to go to church now, and we should...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're 2 hours ahead of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys sound tired, too. Did I wake you?
Do you remember who Jeffrey Winehouse is?
No, who's that?
He's the Bulletin Man, the man who got shot at 6 times. 4 of them went into him. He should have died.
The Columbine survivor, right?
You know, I think there's a connection, but right now I forget what it is. Anyway, he's calling us too, and his story is crazy. They gave him 30 years. He's been in there 5 years already.
Wow.
And the police shot him at point blank range, and he should have died, but he lived, and then they threw him in jail. He was running for coroner so that he could arrest the sheriff who was allegedly doing a lot of really bad stuff in town. And he's from the Northeast, I think. His name is Jeffrey Winehouse. Anyway, he's going to be calling later this afternoon to tell his whole story.
Oh, wow. So what happened? Why did he get shot? How did that all...
Oh, well, he had a bunch of dirt on them, and then they said, okay, well, we'll meet you behind this gas station where we've already swept for half an hour to make sure there's no cameras. And he was dumb enough or trusting enough to show up, and he had an undercover camera on his wrist watch, and he filmed the whole thing, and nobody even knew there was any film footage of his execution until 6 months later when he woke up out of a coma. It's all on film.
So now, did the federal government throw him in prison, or is it state?
Ooh, I don't know. The feds...
It's state.
It's state.
Okay. And they gave him 30 years. What was his charge?
Well, they said that he tried to draw his pistol on him, but he didn't. He was just open carry, and...
It's an open carry state, and he was open carrying, and there's footage, like the film shows that he wasn't drawing his weapon.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Hey,
so they got evidence that he didn't pull his weapon, so why is he still in there?
Well, exactly. I think, like, people think they get their fair day in trial, and that never happens. They control these courtrooms.
Yeah. No, well, that's what I was telling people. They're like, well, justice is justice, and justice will always be justice. I said, no, you're smoking dope. Not when they control the court system.
Right.
You can't present your evidence to get a capable defense like we did in the Nevada trial. They won't even let us call witnesses.
Right.
That's right.
Well,
But
that's exactly what
to be
happened to him,
honest,
too.
if things keep going the way they were, we probably won't have to worry about that very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Putin's not going to let Trump just go in there and overthrow Assad.
Right.
And Russia already stated publicly if they lose a conventional war that they will use nukes. And we all know they're not going to win a conventional war against the U.S.
Yeah.
But they still have a very, very, very large nuclear arsenal with some warheads that were scaled to 50 megatons.
Wow.
And so if a 50 megaton warhead, say it hit the city of Phoenix, people 63 miles away in Prescott would get third-degree burns.
Yeah. Have you heard of a pastor named Pastor James David Manning up in Harlem, New York?
Manning, is he the black guy?
Yeah, he's the one who called Obama long-legged Mac Daddy.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. I love that guy.
He's calling Trump. He's been calling Trump Tribulation Trump for several months now because he thinks he's going to start the tribulation off in the Bible.
Right. I don't think Trump's the Antichrist, but because when you read about the Antichrist in the book of Daniel, it said he doesn't desire women.
Right.
He's above anything that is called God, and he sounds like the ultimate atheist. And so, I think he comes from a Muslim nation, or he has a Muslim descent, to be honest. But
well, Trump's favored pastor or one of his favorite is Norman Vincent Peale. I think I have to go back and
his favorite book.
Oh, his favorite book. Okay.
Author.
Yeah. But
interesting enough, this war is being fought against Muslims, so it makes a lot of sense of what could come out of this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, what's to say there's not a big nuclear war, and out of the ashes, the Antichrist rises out of that. Once everything's obliterated. But
well, I don't think
if there is a nuclear war, I don't think it'll be as bad as movies have made it out to be. But it does say in the first 2 years of the reign of the Antichrist, he wipes out almost 3 billion people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's half the world's population, or third of the world's population, or something gets wiped out.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Trump. I don't think Manning is calling Trump the Antichrist. He's just saying he's going to kick off the tribulation. But.
Well, absolutely. What do you think's going to happen? You got Russia down there protecting Assad. You got the U.S. that wants to overthrow Assad. But then they used a chemical attack, and they lie to the American people to be like, oh, well, we need to go in there and protect children. Well, what about all the children in Africa? What about all the children in other third world nations that are being slaughtered by the machete?
What about
Syria? Why? Because they have oil.
Yeah.
What about the abortions here every day?
Yeah.
53 million babies killed in 20 years.
I think there's 4,000. There's 4,000 worldwide every single day, right?
Just in the U.S.
It's crazy. So
I think
you want to protect children. Let's have some sanity to the argument, and let's really protect children. And how about we make abortions illegal across the board, across the United States, federally?
Yeah.
Amen.
What do we call it? The Babies Protection Act.
I love it.
Great piece of election.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, and it's like the African Americans, right? So 1860 to 1865, you had the Civil War. Then you had the Civil War amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, which effectively abolished slavery. Well, after those amendments, they had the right to vote, but it was widely ignored by the federal government. We had to wait till 1954 to 1965 during the Civil Rights Revolution, and then it wasn't until 1960 where they had the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and under our early civil rights leader, Robert Moses, or Bob Moses, if you will, who brought about in 1961 the Voters Education Project, and it led to the Voters' Rights Protection Act under President Lyndon Johnson, who superseded John F. Kennedy in 1965.
Yep.
So sometimes you have to have presidential legislation like that to protect people's rights. And this is where I think that we need to focus the land grab stuff and call it, we need like a Beneficial Use Protection Act or a Ranchers Protection Act, if you will, through a presidential act that protects them from arbitrary government, the BLM, and other people to say, hey, we don't want the solicitation you're selling, we don't have to have it. But, you know, it's almost like saying, hey, look, I don't want to be controlled by you. Okay, well, then we'll just shoot you.
Yeah.
So, if you think about it, law enforcement, FBI, and everybody else in this country protects the corporation, not the people.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt.
They're going to protect who pays them. They're not going to protect the people who want to be freed or liberated.
Yeah, no, it's the corporate United States. Two quick questions. Are you aware of a man by the name of George Cornack? He was a miner in Montana, and did you get the business cards that we sent that shows all the, one of them is Jeffrey Winehouse. I'm just curious if you ever got that.
I did get one business card that had Pete Santelli, had Charles Dreyer on it.
Okay.
It had it had just a big picture of all the Patriots.
Okay, that might be an earlier version without Jeffrey Winehouse, but there's a new version that we did with Jeffrey Winehouse. But
yeah, and he said that he regretted not going pro se.
Yeah, we asked him if he regretted not going pro se, and he said he did because they withheld exculpatory evidence and they didn't bring witnesses from the FBI that would have testified in his favor that were across the street that said he never pulled his weapon. So everybody that we talked to says they wishes they would have gone pro se because their public pretenders always sell them out.
Well, of course they do. They want to get you to plea out because they don't want to fight. And
Right.
even when they want to fight, they don't want to fight right because they're under the Bar Association, and if they fight against the government too much or say something wrong, then they lose then they can't be a lawyer or practice law anymore. They come after them. I mean, for crying out loud, they're tasing Ammon Bundy's attorney in the courtroom.
Yeah.
So it's really twisted. This isn't justice. This isn't the way the American justice system is supposed to work. But even more to the point, Todd Ingleton can't even go pro se if he wants to. So we can't even go pro se in the case if we wanted to.
That's insane. I don't know how they can legally stop him.
The judge won't let him. Didn't the judge deny him to go pro se?
I think you may be right. I don't know the details. Erin just had to leave the room because she's getting ready to go to church. But if that's true, that's absolutely illegal, insanity, unethical.
It is a huge violation of due process.
Yeah.
Here's another one for you. Under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which I don't really like the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, but it does have interesting literature that I wish I would have known for pretrial release. So under the 14th Amendment, we have what's called the Due Process Clause and the Equal Protection Clause, which was a Civil War amendment. And the Equal Protection Clause says everybody's endowed with the same rights regardless of race, color, origin, sex, and things like that. But the Due Process Clause says that you cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness without first having due process of law. And it's to protect against arbitrary government, excessive bail, or indefinite detention. It says it right in it. In other words, they cannot indefinitely detain you per the 14th Amendment of the Constitution unless they first convicted you in a court of law. They have to pre-trial you, but they ignore it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Under that Due Process Clause, when you go to the court, if they were being constitutional, you would say under the 14th Amendment, Your Honor, under the Due Process and under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, you cannot hold me here. You have to let me go. I have not been convicted yet. I am innocent until proven guilty, and by keeping me here, you are depriving me, in effect, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and it is arbitrary government.
Yeah, no, you know, one of our friends is very passionate about FIJA, Fully Informed Jury Association, and jury nullification, and another friend often talks about this thing called the Red Amendment. I'm wondering if the Red Amendment plays into what you're talking about. Have you ever heard the Red Amendment?
No, never heard of that.
Yeah, there's a book on it I got to read, but it talks about some of these amendments and how they are mis.
I see a problem with the Constitution at face value. So you know the preamble, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you notice at the end of the preamble, it says the Constitution for the United States of America. But look at the title. It says the Constitution of the United States of America. Just by changing the title there to of instead of for, it has huge, profound changes on your rights, like the sovereign's right to travel and other stuff. And so I would look into that, like the Act of 1871, which was abolished. But it briefly goes over how they changed the Constitution. That it was originally supposed to be the Constitution for the United States of America, which gives American citizens profoundly more rights just by changing that one word in the title.
Yeah. Well, what's your take on all this sovereign stuff? Because we have a lot of friends that are really heavy into this sovereign.
Well, I'll just tell people, if you want to go sovereign, you're probably going to run into problems with the government because and Pahrump and the CCAs, they've classified 3%ers, sovereigns, constitutionalists, and everything else as gangs now.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you go into the CCA here in Pahrump, they ask you, are you a part of a sovereign group? Are you a part of a 3% group? Are you a militia member? Are you a constitutionalist? And they're classified as gangs like Blood, Crips, and others now.
I guess our founders of this country would be considered gang members and domestic terrorists. And
well, of course. I mean, anything that's contrary to their views and their political ideology, they're going to destroy. They just do it different. We don't got the gas chamber set up quite yet, but anybody who's going to oppose this big globalist idea or this NWO ideology, they're going to be targeted. If you invoke your rights, the Constitution, freedom, life, liberty, against slavery, against mass murder, against mass incarceration, against unjust systems, you're going to disappear. Look what they did to us.
Yeah,
They did it right in front of us. The whole world watched why they destroyed our lives. And people still sided with them.
Oh, yeah.
It's just disgusting. It blows my mind that we've come to a point in time in our history where people would rather turn on Snooki or watch their reality TV shows or their Jerry Springer shows in their little reality TV era of history rather than the animating contest of freedom.
No, you're absolutely right. And I go back all the way to Waco, right? They burned 19 children alive. Did people rise up? They shot Vicki Weaver in the head and blew her head off while she's holding her baby. Did people rise up? They shot
Ruby Ridge?
Yeah, they shot Samuel Weaver, which is Randy Weaver's son.
Waco, because a lot of people are like, well, he was a crazy guy. Well, maybe he was, but what's the depth of religious freedom do we really believe in? If people wanted to follow the crazy guy, do we have the right to go on there and obliterate him?
Yeah.
It's like, if we did that, how come we're not burning down every mosque in America?
Amen to that. Yeah.
So you really have to start asking yourselves, do you really believe in the First Amendment or don't you? Or does the First Amendment only apply when it fits your criteria of what you believe the First Amendment should be? And I would argue that the First Amendment applies to everything, even though we may not like what somebody says. Like, for example, if you're on Facebook and you say, I'm going to kill you to somebody just because you're angry, and people say it all the time. And anybody who says they never did that is a liar.
Yeah.
Because everybody does it. Everybody has gotten angry on that thing and said something they didn't mean. But if the government catches that, it's terrorism, and you'll go to prison for 20 years. I know people who are locked up 20 years for making that statement on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that they've taken this terrorism and political speech, and which
I would say is a huge violation of free speech. Now, however, if you say that and you carry out the means to go kill somebody, and you try to kill them, then absolutely, that's different. That's where I would say you draw the line.
Yeah, well, there has to.
We can all agree that killing anybody is wrong. Blatant murder, cold-blooded, self-defense is different, but so. In that respect, then absolutely. But by arresting people for that and condemning them for that, you're basically, you have a means now to arrest everybody in the United States because of their emotions. And I would argue everybody's done that. Yeah. So what we're effectively doing is condemning 99.9% of the country to protect from that 0.1% that'll do something. And the 0.1 that's actually going to go out and kill somebody, he's not going to tell you about it.
Yeah. Well,
so if somebody's on the internet saying, I'm going to kill you and your children, I laugh because I know they're probably not going to do it.
Yeah. Well, there's a book called 3 Felonies a Day, and I wish I could send you some of these books, man, but they won't even let me send you freaking books. But it talks about how they can arrest anybody.
Well, you can send it. It'll go into my property, so if I ever get to another prison, I can read it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because it'll go with me.
Oh, okay. I think you would really enjoy it.
Have it in this dorm.
Yeah, it's horrific, man, that you're going to be sitting there 6 months and can't even read any books of your choosing. You got to.
I don't even know when I'm getting sentenced. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I see how people disappear in the system now. I love you guys. It's going to hang up.
Okay. All right, Blaine. Well, take care. God bless. We're praying for you.
Send me a printout of the new nuclear target map.
Okay, I sent you the periodic table of the elements, nuclear target map. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, because now with everything's going on, I'm kind of worried.
Okay. All right. We'll look up that up. Nuclear target map. I'll print it out and send it out.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.
Oh, Operation Atlantic Resolve, too.
Say that again?
Operation Atlantic Resolve.
Operational Atlantic Resolve?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.